What's up, YouTube? I still have the flu, so I apologize for the way I look and sound. Just ignore it, all right? I want to talk about an idea today. It's an idea that I really like and I've been fascinated by for years, and I want to share it. So, there's three books that are kind of about this idea, but in three different ways. There's The Compound Effect by something Hardy. You can look that up. There's that book. Then there's The Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi and The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. Now, the Musashi book and the Steven Pressfield book, you'll hear Joe Rogan talk about this a lot. He's even had Steven Pressfield on JRE like twice, so those are good episodes. But basically, they come at it from different directions, but they're all talking about the same thing. So the compound effect, that guy comes at it from like a numbers guy perspective. You can tell that he's really analytical and really into numbers, whoever the author was. Something Hardy, Dan Hardy, Tom Hardy, something. So he's all about like the idea of compound interest. I suck at math, so I'm not going to try to break it down. But it's the idea of compound interest where it's basically momentum. So like once you've done something every day for a while, you have momentum behind you to where the work you're putting in on a daily basis by itself doesn't look like that much, but the results are huge. So he talks about things like, it's like the rabbit versus the hare, you know? It's like, who do you think would win the race? And everyone's like surprised that it's the tortoise, sorry. It's the hare versus the tortoise. Everyone's surprised that it's the tortoise that wins the race, but it's just because he didn't stop. He never stopped. So the rabbit might be fast, but he kind of checks out every now and then, takes a break. Well, the compound effect talks about it just with numbers. Then with Musashi's book, The Book of Five Rings, he's kind of coming at it like, almost like what this channel's about, like applying the martial arts philosophy to art. And he talks about how if you want to be a poetry writer or a painter, you know, working on your craft every day, and not expecting to just paint a masterpiece or write a masterpiece, but just practicing your craft every single day and then eventually unlocking new levels of flow state. So the actions you've taken every day for this prolonged period of time, almost like a video game, accumulating points, and then you unlock the new levels, the new abilities. So every artist wants to just achieve flow state, right? But you don't always just get to jump in there, right? So, and that's pretty much what The War of Art is about. The War of Art by Steven Pressfield is really, really short, and the audiobook is on Spotify. And since it's so short, it's like there's no excuse. You got to listen to that or read that. And it's amazing. He's basically saying the same thing. Since he's an author, he's a writer, he comes at it from the perspective of, you know, confronting writer's block. He calls it resistance. Like, why do we feel like we don't have good ideas? Why do we feel like the ideas are not coming to us, right? He says that as a writer, he found if he just wrote every day, that 90% of what he wrote was trash, but it didn't matter. He was becoming a better writer. He was spending time writing. And then eventually he got these amazing ideas to actually write the books that he wanted to publish. And the work that, you know, he wanted to see the light of day, that work that he saw as like worthy of that wasn't possible without just doing the work that he would probably prefer nobody read it because it's probably terrible, you know, at least by his standards. So all three of these books encompass the same idea. And frankly, you know, this video, as I'm about to post it today, which is December 4th, I think, 2024, this is what having the flu does to you. You don't even know what day it is. And excuse the sniffles and stuff, I'm sorry. But the approach I'm going to take to this YouTube channel is I don't really care if I post this video and for a year it has like 3 views and 0 likes and 0 comments. I'm going to upload every single day. And I might sound crazy now because when I upload this, it'll have like 0 views or whatever. But one day, I believe maybe a year from now or something, people are gonna I believe a lot of people are gonna watch this video. And so that's the approach I'm taking to YouTube, is I'm just gonna upload every day because I believe that I do have a lot to say. So I'm just gonna put it out there. And if I keep uploading and I keep uploading, eventually my work will see the light of day. If you make good work, it will see the light of day. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So let's talk about taking action to get to a place to where you can take better action, right? Because that's like how I see compound interest and momentum. I break it down into suffering and pleasure, because those are kind of the two ends of the spectrum when it comes to the human experience. We can only experience so much. You can pretty much break it down into suffering and pleasure. We can get into the weeds, but let's make it simple. And all you really have, right, is the present moment. You know, we can think about the past and we can try to imagine the future, but the actions you take are in the eternal now, if you want to call it that. I think I've heard people call it. So check this out. In the now, let's try to simplify it, and let's say that you really have 2 options. You can choose meaningless pleasure. And why is it meaningless? Because that's what's available now. That's what's available if you want it right now. That's meaningless pleasure. Or meaningful pain. So that's like sacrifice, doing things that you don't want to do, discipline. Making the deposit so that you can make the withdrawal. That's meaningful pain. There's probably ways to inflict meaningless pain on yourself in the now, but let's just not do that. So you really have 2 options that make sense. Meaningless pleasure, meaningful pain. That's in the now. Now I want you to think of life like a vending machine that flips. It takes what you give it, and it is a mirror, so it shows something back to you. If you put in meaningless pleasure into the vending machine, then you get meaningless pain, regret, hangover, whatever. I don't have to explain that. Especially if you're an adult watching this, you probably know, but even kids and teenagers can, that's just life. Then you have the option, right, in the present moment to pick meaningful pain, sacrifice. If you choose that, the vending machine will shoot back at you meaningful pleasure. That is the one thing that you can't just access. Meaningful pleasure is not accessible just like that. Because in the present moment, you have all these options. You have meaningful pain. You can even do meaningless pain in the present moment, but it doesn't make sense. And you can do meaningless pleasure. So you have 3 out of the 4 experiences that we can have. The 4th one that you can't access just automatically is the one that we want. Meaningful pleasure. I'll give you an example of this that might seem shallow, but bear with me. Imagine you get serious in the gym and you get super jacked, and then you go to the beach and you walk around with your shirt off. Or ladies, you walk around in a bikini. You got in great shape. And you see the way that people look at you, and people have never looked at you like that before. It's like kind of mind blowing for you because you've like never got that kind of attention, right? That's like a lot. I know this is like a weird example, but that's like a lot better than the meaningless pleasure, right? Like just entertaining yourself, just trying to, how long can you entertain yourself with meaningless pleasure? But there's something really gratifying about, this pleasure I'm experiencing right now. I really put in a lot of time, a lot of hours to experience this. It wasn't accessible to me. And over a long period of time, maybe it took years, I was digging in the trenches with my shovel, with my pickaxe. I was chopping wood, carrying water, whatever you want to call it. And now I've unlocked this meaningful pleasure. So that's something that I've thought about for years now. It's pretty much my philosophy behind martial arts. Welcome to Younger MMA. Go check out my videos. I have my first and second amateur fight. The second one, that second amateur fight is for a title. That's a title fight. My first amateur fight, the one that's in a cage, that's a great fight. It goes to decision, but it's a great fight. I'll be coming with some training stuff and whatnot. Let me know in the comments if this made any sense or if you think I'm crazy. And I'll be back soon. Peace.